Yes, guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to a brand new video. This is your latest Arsenal news and transfer news as well. Arsenal have officially entered the striker market. We have submitted an offer for striker at Getafe, 22 million. The name is Borja Mayoral. I'm going to be diving into the story. Who is Borja Mayoral, and probably why has Mikel Arteta finally decided that he will sign a striker in the January transfer window? Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel as well. Now, Borja Mayoral is not a striker that you know and I know of. He's one of the strikers that are kind of going under the radar. 26 years of age. No one knows about him unless you do, by the way, because it's the first time I've heard of him. It's the first time I've heard of any club linked with him. But he's actually having a very good season at Getafe right now. So let me know, what do you think about Arsenal just getting in a striker of a low profile like Borja Mayoral? 22 million. That would be such a good signing, because for me, if you can bring in a player like Borja Mayoral, he can replace Eddie Nketiah in the summer. That means that you can get rid of Eddie in the summer, and then that also allows you to bring in a big money striker in the summer if Mikel Arteta still wants to. So let's get into the conversation. Let's get into the comment box below. We are talking Borja Mayoral this morning. Arsenal have submitted an initial offer to Getafe. So the story, as broken by Football.London, and of course, as picked up by a couple of other outlets, they're saying that it is not a secret that Arsenal are in the market for a new striker this month, with Mikel Arteta's current options not firing so far this campaign. The Gunners have been linked with moves for Victor Osimhen, Ivan Toney and Dusan Vlahovic. However, all three are likely to be expensive for Arsenal during the January transfer window. This has led Arsenal to look at cheaper options and alternatives this month, with Mikel Arteta still determined to improve his options, right? Despite the lack of spending power the club have currently in January. Now, according to the Sun Sport, Arsenal this week have submitted a 22 million offer for Getafe striker Borja Mayoral. The bid has since been rejected by the Spanish club, who are looking at a fee around 38 million pounds. That is the story, right? That is the story. Now, in terms of numbers, they go on to say that Mayoral has scored 12 goals and recorded 1 assist in La Liga so far this campaign. At 26 years of age, the striker is a well-experienced professional, having played with the likes of Real Madrid, Roma, Wolfsburg during his career at the moment. So that is the story, guys. That is where we are. Borja Mayoral, Arsenal interested. They have submitted an offer to test the waters, probably, but the offer has been rejected by by Getafe. They want more money. They want around 38 million pounds. Okay, now, I mean, there's a lot going on right now. There's a lot going on. We knew that Arsenal wanted a striker, and we know that we need a striker. The question is one: will Arsenal sign one? Will Arsenal eventually end up with a number 9 at the end of the window? And for me, my answer is yes. I think Arsenal will get a cheaper option, a cheaper deal at the end of the transfer window. So, look, us going to bid for Borja Mayoral, I don't think is the only player on Mikel Arteta's list, and I don't think it's the only option Arsenal are looking at right now. We are looking at other players. There are other players on that list that are not very expensive. There are other players that could be coming in on a loan deal. There are other players that could be coming in on a short-term basis, right? We've talked about Benzema yesterday. Arsenal could be interested. If Benzema wants to come back to Europe, Arsenal could be one of the clubs that following that situation. But why I think this is very good initiative, it's all about what we have, what we can do in this January transfer window, right? We can't sign a 50 million pound striker. We can't sign a 60 million and above pound striker. So what we can do is explore the market for strikers between 20 and 30 million. And I know they are there, and I know those options are there. Look, no one knew about Borja Mayoral, and still we do not know if he can do the job in the Premier League. We don't know if he can do the job at Arsenal, but at least Arsenal have made a bid. At least we have actually tried. Now, I do not know whether Getafe are going to be selling a striker that has scored for them 12 goals so far in La Liga. Like, that would be kind of crazy for them to sell. So it's going to have, we're going to have to kind of push and push and push and keep on pushing for this deal to happen. But I like it, right? I really do like it. A striker who has scored 12 goals for a club like Getafe can come in at Arsenal and can do the job, can score some 8 goals for us or even 9 goals for us in the last part of the campaign. And that's what we are looking for. For me, I just don't believe in Eddie Nketiah. I just don't. And I look at him as a player, and I think he's a player that deserves backing. He deserves a fan base that can go behind him. He deserves a fan base that can believe in him. At the top level right now, as Arsenal try to fight the likes of City, Bayern, Manchester, Manchester United, Liverpool, I don't think Eddie Nketiah is the striker. I don't think Eddie Nketiah is the right deal. Now, why I think this guy would be such a smart signing, and I'm not saying he is the best striker on the market. He's the best option, right? I'll take Hugo Ekitike over Borja Mayoral if Hugo Ekitike has actually played some minutes. But the problem is that Ekitike is not playing football at the moment, and he's out of form, out of match fitness as well. So why I think this is a good deal? Arsenal will want to sign 2 strikers in the summer. There's no question about that. Gabriel Jesus has since picked up around 5 injuries in 1 year and a half he spent at Arsenal. That is not promising. That is not positive. That only shows you that this kind of striker is not going to be relied on. Is not reliable enough, right? The same goes with Eddie Nketiah. He's not injury prone, but he only scores at home, so you cannot rely on him away. And secondly, he's one of those strikers that will score 1 goal in 12 appearances. So you cannot rely on him as well, not as backup, not as your main striker. So if Arsenal can get in Borja Mayoral, in January, that means that we can use him as a backup striker, offload Eddie Nketiah in the summer, and then get in a new striker for big money. So we could sign Victor Osimhen, sell Eddie Nketiah, and then Borja Mayoral becomes our second option as a striker. But then that also gives Mikel Arteta options. Gabriel Jesus obviously is one player to be rotated and rotated heavily. I don't think he's a 90-minute player every single match. He's a quality player, but I don't think he's a player you can rely on to be fit all the time, especially during his time at Arsenal. That is the evidence we have. And I also don't think he is your number 9 to lead the line. So that gives Mikel Arteta options, because with Gabriel Jesus, he is a flexible player. He's a really multifaceted player. He's really multidimensional. You can play him as a right winger. You can play him as a left winger. You can play him as a number 9, as a false 9. You can play him anywhere, and it's actually going to work out. I even bet you can play Gabriel Jesus as a number 10, and he does a better job than Luka Modric. Just kidding. But you understand, you get where I'm going with this. So I'm really happy that Arsenal made a substantial offer for Borja Mayoral, and although Getafe have actually knocked it back, it's just going to be about negotiation, right? I don't think at 26 years of age, a striker who has not had one top campaign, one top season, is going to command more than 25 million, right? So if Arsenal think they can get him at around 25 million, I would be 100% all over this deal. I'll be 100% interested. And again, there is real value for money there. At 26, strikers are becoming even better with age. You bring him in, you sign him on a 5-year deal, his market value is going to increase. You can move him on 1 season later or 2 seasons later for around 30 or even 33 million pounds. That is a profit there, made. So listen, guys, this is a very good deal. Right? This is a very good deal. It's a very good story. But what does that mean for our FFP situation? And what does that mean for the profitability and loss, regulations? And what does it mean for the future of Eddie Nketiah? Now, I think Arsenal was smart. They know if June the 30th comes and we have sold one player for around 30 or 40 million, we will actually be safe. And that is why, we've always said, yesterday John Crossmira was saying that, from the Mirror, was saying that, that there is no way Arsenal are not going to sign a player because of FFP. They know what they need to do, and they know what has to be done. They just need to sell one player before June the 30th, and their FFP situation is going to be okay. They can even sell 2 players before June the 30th, and their FFP situation is going to be okay. So if we can let Edin Ketia go, and watch the space, listen, watch the space, this story could be a development in the Edin Ketia, situation. I won't be surprised to see either Ramsdale, Emil Smith-Rowe, or Edin Ketia leave this January. If Arsenal are now confident and we have gone and made a bid for a striker for 22 million and our FFP situation is like very, very tight. Remember, we wanted to pay around 30 million for David Raya. And we talked to Brentford and we convinced them that we'll pay this money in the summer of 2024 because our FFP situation was actually not very good. If Arsenal have gone and made a bid for Mayoral, it means that someone might be leaving. I'm smelling it. One player might be leaving. In the next few hours, we might get a story. ESR is close to joining Newcastle, or Ramsdale is close to joining Newcastle, or Edin Ketia is close to joining Crystal Palace. We know Newcastle want ESR. They might not have a lot of money to spend in January, so that could be out. Ramsdale is also wanted by a couple of other clubs. Mikel Arteta wants him to stay, but that is not an option. If the player wants to go and he wants to find game time, you're going to let him go. So on between Ramsdale and Edin Ketia, we might have one player that is going to be leaving Arsenal. I'm not really sure who, and I'm not saying it's definitely one of them is leaving. One of them is leaving, but I'm sure Arsenal know if they have made a bid for a new striker, they are sure someone is going to leave. They're sure there's a player who's going to leave, and they're going to make some money, and they can register that money as profit. So watch the space round there. For me, I've already said, Mikel Arteta is making a huge mistake by trusting Edin Ketia. You cannot trust the striker who actually doesn't score goals. Like in all these other situations, goalkeeper, you can keep your goalkeeper, right? He doesn't keep the goals out. You can trust your goalkeeper. You can build a good defense around him. But even if you have a very good attack that scores a lot of goals, at the end of the season, your strikers will be outshone. Your strikers' weaknesses will actually be highlighted. Last season, Arsenal scored a couple of goals, and look, how many goals did our strikers score? How many goals did Jesus score? How many games did he play as a player? That's another big question, right? Is he reliable? Can you think he's gonna be there for 30 games in a campaign? No. This season he's already suffered around 3 injuries, right? In one season. We are only halfway. If he picks up a long-term injury, what do we do? Now, the scary part of this story, guys, is that maybe Mikel Arteta and the medical team are now skeptical of the fitness levels of Gabriel Jesus. He's had a surgery this season, and he's picked up a second injury within the same season. So could it be that Mikel Arteta has looked at the fitness levels of Gabriel Jesus and he has gone, I don't think you're going to be fit all the time. I don't think you are going to be available all the time. And what happens when we are playing Bayern? And what happens when we get to play Real Madrid, we get to play Juventus, we get to play these big teams? Juve are not in the Champions League, right? The likes of FC Porto. What happens? And you're injured. Where do we go? And I think that is that's one of the points where Arsenal have to look very, very closely. So it's a big story. Arsenal made an offer for Borja Mayoral at Getafe, 22 million. The offer has been knocked back. 38 million is what we are hearing Getafe want. I'll be building this story as I always do. So hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and we are going to be in touch.